Hello and welcome to our project. My name is Amy Balmer and I am one of the members of Dream Transformers.
Hi, Elizabeth Pacheco here, member of the Dream Transformers team. I'm going to be going over the cost estimates with you.
Hello, my name is Grace Jeffries. I'm part of the Dream Transformer team, and I'm happy to walk you through our presentation that we have for you regarding our project management course Business 260 collaboration that we engaged in.
Hey guys, I'm Anthony Dennis and welcome to the Dream Transformer Project.
Hello, I'm Travis Harden. I'm a member of the Dream Transformers team, and we're going to talk about our project, the Dream Fixer.
Hello and welcome to welcome to the charter review for Dream Transformers. This is our Dream Fixer. We are helping out main stakeholders here, Julie and Pat Smith. Pat Smith is going to act as our project manager, so that is why he is a key stakeholder. Our project start date was January 17th with a completion goal of March 9th, so that's coming up. We're almost there. In our charter, we reviewed our budget information. The budget was an estimated $50,000. This budget is planned to cover our materials, contracted services, incidentals, significant savings anticipated throughout this project using sweat equity, so we're able to keep our budget a little lower. Our objective here is to increase the value of Julie's rental by updating the property's curb appeal, creating an updated living space, and helping her nephew Pat and a couple of his college student friends to be able to rent this 3-bedroom house while they're in college. Julie plans to increase the investment portfolio by returns by having that property into a multi-tenant rental. So our success criteria is going to be obviously maintaining the budget. We want to ensure that we have good renovation quality. So even though we've got that smaller budget, the ability of the sweat equity is going to help us keep that budget down, but also not having to slack off on the quality of materials that we're using. We want to ensure stakeholder satisfaction. Obviously, we want to make sure Julie and Pat are happy with the results. Want to make sure that we are meeting the deadline. That's going to be a key to the success here in this project. We want to complete the renovations on time and being able to maintain that budget of $50,000. Our approach is going to be working with Julie, the homeowner, to stay within budget. Our goals to keep within budget, again, are going to be to use sweat equity and family members to keep everything on track and keep those costs down low. We're going to coordinate all efforts through Pat Smith as he's going to work as our project manager, making sure we've got frequent communication with him and all of our contractors. We're going to remain flexible, being able to adapt to changes and evaluating every renovation knowledge with our team members and volunteers. As you can see here, our charter has been approved by all those key stakeholders in mind. Thank you, and we will move on to our next slide.
Today I'm going over the schedule for Dream Transformers. So over here, we have the team contract all the way down to the plan. For the project charter, we have the start date from January 17, 2025 to January 17, 2025, so usually a day. Kickoff meeting, the agenda, the same day, January 17, 2025. Also the end date. With the estimate hours, about 1 hour. Then we have the review walkthrough, the WBS and dictionary, February 16, 2025. The end date is February 16, 2025. The cost, then based on schedule, February 16, 2025. The end date, February 16, 2025. We have that also estimated around 1 hour. Then we also have resources, quality, risk, contract labor at $100 an hour. We applied for permits starting on January 18, 2025. Then we have the end date at February 4th, 2025. And the person who is responsible for that is Pat. Then identify work groups. The person who's responsible for that is Pat. Then we have the review vendor application. The start date for that one is January 18, 2025. Then the end date is February 15, 2025. And the person who's responsible for all this is the Dream Transformers. And we have the estimated hours around 1 hour. And then we have interior/exterior. Site prep for construction. The people we have doing that is friends and family. Then we have the dumpster rental, which is around $760. And the person responsible for that is Pat. Electrical. We got the contractor. Installation of 10 light and ceiling fans on dining room and kitchen. Cost around is like $2,500, and we have a contractor for that. And then we estimated the hours about 26 hours. We have windows. We got a contractor to replace 15 standard windows for $7,500. The start date is January 24, 2025 to March 7, 2025. Usually that's about 15 hours. Then we got the paint, floor, cabinets. For the paint, interior walls and ceilings, $7,500. Start date January 29, 2025 to January 29, 2025. So that's about a day. Then we have friends and family doing that. Estimated hours is about 3 hours. Then we have the floor, 1,500 square feet, costing around $5,000. Starting date January 30th, 2025. End date is February 1st, 2025. Then we have an estimated hours of 24. Then we have the cabinets around 7,000. I think it's for a jack to complete from January 30th, 2025. Oh, mistaken. February 2nd, 2025 to February 3rd, 2025. Then we have the appliances and install. We have the stove, microwave, dishwasher, refrigerator, washer/dryer. Estimate around 7,000. The start date is February 5th, 2025 to March 4th, 2025. And the person responsible for that is Pat. Then we have scrubs and flowers. Sweat equity, $70. Start date is March 4th, 2025 to March 7th, 2025. And the people responsible for that is friends and family. Then we have the fence, and then we have the level yard, which the fence is like 70 estimated, take about 16 hours. Then we have the level yard, which take about 8 hours, and we have that starting from March 4th, 2025 to March 7th, 2025. And that completes the schedule.
Hello, I'm Travis. We're going to talk about the Kanban board. For our board, we separated all the little tasks into 3 major areas: the kitchen, the interior, and the exterior renovations. For the kitchen, we prioritized painting, demolition, and flooring so that Jack could get in there and do the cabinet installs, the countertops, the sinks, and faucets. For the appliance install and the lighting, we used a priority level of 3 for those because they can be done after the fact. And those are relatively small tasks compared to the demolition, the painting, the flooring, and the actual cabinet install, which are extra large and large projects. For the interior, again, demolition, painting, and flooring was high priority so that other tasks could be done, like the lighting and the windows. And then exterior, Higher priority was given to shrubs, flowers, and fence, with leveling the yard and cleanup following that. For exterior, the cleanup and the shrubs and flowers were the larger part of the task, and then the fence and the leveling were a little bit smaller. Going back to the interior renovation, the ceiling fans, appliance install were given a lower priority, and they're relatively smaller tasks.
Right, let's go over cost estimates. We know that our stakeholder, Julie, has set aside $50,000 total for the renovation budget, and let's break that down for you. First thing we're going to want to do is demolition and site prep. We will need to rent a dumpster for that. Our plan is to have that dumpster for the entirety of the project so that we can use it whenever necessary. That cost is going to be about $760. Once everything is ready to go, we're going to bring in an electrical team. We are going to have to outsource that at 26 hours of labor, looking at $2,600, materials at $2,500 for a total electrical budget of $5,100. It will consist of can lighting and ceiling fans. We will then have windows installed. We're looking at about 15 hours for that, making a total labor budget being outsourced of $1,500. Materials costing $7,500 for a total window budget of $9,000. We will then move on to painting. We're going to use sweat equity for that. So we have Nick helping us out, Julie and Pat. We plan to get that done within 3 hours at $7,500 just for materials. After that, we are going to have to move on to flooring. We are outsourcing that again at 24 hours. And we're looking at about $2,400 of labor, materials being at $5,000 for a total budget for flooring at $7,400. We will then bring in Jack. He is friends and family, but he is going to do the installation of the cabinet, countertops, faucets, and fixtures at $1,000 total for internal labor. We're giving him about 6 hours to install the cabinet, so a total of about $600 of that $1,000 budget will go towards that. $77,000 in material costs, so looking at a total cost of $7,600 for our cabinets. We will then have Jack do the countertops at 2 hours of labor for $200 out of that $1,000. With materials, you're looking at $4,600, so total cost of $4,800. Jack will finish off doing our faucets and fixtures. Again, $200 for that for 2 hours of labor out of that $1,000 budget we set aside for him. $500 in materials. We're looking at $700 total for for faucets and fixtures. We will then have Julie install the appliances. We're going to give her about 2 hours to do that, no cost of labor as she's doing it herself, with a grand total of materials of $7,000. And this is where the big sweat equity is really going to help out our project. We're going to have Nick, Pat, and Julie working hard on the shrubs and flowers. We're going to give them 3 hours with a $70 budget to put in new shrubs and flowers for them. We will move over to installing and repairing fence. That's going to be about 16 hours of labor to repair any broken panels and add some paint. We're going to give them about a budget of $70 to do that. Leveling the yard, that's where a big part of this sweat equity is going to go into. But all free labor, looking at 8 hours of total labor there. And then for acceptance of the project, about 4 hours with no cost there. So again, for internal labor costs done by Jack, we're looking at $1,000. External labor that we're being outsourced is $6,500. Total material costs are $42,500 with a total budget of $50,000.
All right, moving on to risk register. We did indicate that there were 4 action items that we would want to be monitoring risk-wise. 3 of them have a moderate consequence or impact level, and 1 of them has a high consequence or impact level. Additionally, the likelihood for 1 of them is a high occurrence, 2 of them are moderate, and 1 of them is low. We do see that there is one that means a critical rank, and then the other 3 fall into a moderate rank. And we see that there's a varying scale of who owns these risks that are associated with our project. For example, we understand that the project owner, Julie Smith, she will be monitoring for risks associated to budget and where our costs may exceed the planned budget that she has set forth. Triggers include when we exceed 90% of our budget baseline, and we have an ongoing status check for that regard. Her nephew, Pat Smith, does have a responsibility to ensure that contractors are completing their assigned tasks and fulfilling their contracts. With that, we have a moderate across the board. We do see that in his response plan that we're going to want to see him to build in scheduling flexibility to verify the contractor's reputation and their reliability, and to maybe even engage in some backup contracts if we see a need for items to be changed around. And we do need to be mindful that the trigger associated with that is us missing milestones or extended task duration per action item that we need to take. This, of course, falls under the monitoring status. It's an ongoing, consistent monitoring basis. It's nothing that needs to be touched consistently, but we do want to be mindful of it. Dream Transformers, we do have to be mindful of our risk being delays in materials. We are going to look out for the trigger where we are seeing any delays or difficulties in procurement of those materials, and then our response is going to be to stockpile those materials early on to develop the essential store that we would want to associate with this project. And we would want to also work to establish multiple partnerships with various suppliers to ensure we have a diversification of sourcing abilities throughout the project. And with that, we would also need to interface with Pat and Julie regarding what our alternative material allocations would be, if that's an increase in a budget amount that we would need to see, or if we would need to change up the schedule to meet the needs of a cost restraint instead of a time restraint in that regard. And finally, we do see Pat owning a risk that's associated with monitoring weather conditions and how they may impact the scheduling and ability to complete tasks, both indoors and outdoors. For example, if we're taking out windows, we don't necessarily want it to be storming out, so we need to be mindful of weather constraints that we'll have across the schedule. We are in a rainy season where we're located, so it's not uncommon. So his response plan is going to be to monitor weather forecasts and to look for windows of favorable conditions where we can schedule exterior work to be completed, preferably like a 3 or 4 day plus window, so we have ample time to complete those tasks. And then to fall back on, in the event of an unforeseen weather circumstance, to be able to adjust the work party from an outdoor environment to the indoor environment to complete a task inside. Additionally, we don't have any high monitoring items. We do see that there is primary risk associated with budget relating to this. Other than that, a lot of our concerns can be mitigated in alternative fashions that will ultimately lead to project completion and satisfaction of our deliverables. And we'll pass it on to the next one. Okay, so project lessons learned throughout this process. We did learn throughout the duration of our initiation and planning phases that we are strongly reliant on planning management and time management in regards to this process. We do see a huge need to be able to effectively manage time and meet the deliverables within the time constraints and budgetary restraints that we're seeing, and to be able to, get through the process in a swift manner, but effectively meet all of the criteria and satisfy Julie's wants and needs in the situation. We did identify that there is a scheduling and flexibility aspect that you have to be mindful of when you're engaging in the planning process of setting timelines, assigning tasks, and allowing for adequate time to complete the tasks and return the deliverable back into the project. Cost estimations was a huge one for us. We did note that breaking down by individual item task is a very technical and time-consuming aspect when you have to go in and analyze it, but it does allow you to understand where your cost primary focus is in your time allocations are going in that as well. And then additionally, we did learn that we need to utilize our project stakeholders' expectations to create benchmarks for success. So for that, we see a need to understand what the feedback and wants and needs of our stakeholders are. That being said, Pat and Julie were our primary stakeholders that we would listen to within this project. We would understand the wants and needs that they have, as well as previous expectations for budget and time that they have given us, and we factor that in to being able to use it as a bumpers on a bowling lane to keep us in line with what we're trying to do and allow us for some flexibility in the path, but to not allow us to deviate off of it. And I don't think that we had anything of major concern that we weren't able to comprehend or understand regarding what was being asked of us in the project. And we felt that communication and expectations were very clear, both from Julie's side and from our team's side of what we were expected to provide. Get you over with the next one. Dream Transformers, Amy, Travis, Anthony, Michelle, and myself, and Grace, we all learned throughout our interactions within this project on how we need to utilize an understanding of different learning styles and communication styles to effectively meet each other's expectations as well as our professors' expectations. We did enjoy the fact that we were able to utilize a diverse skill set that, all of us have various life experiences that contributed to differing understanding and allowed us to engage in an open communication to ultimately bring about a better understanding of what we were trying to accomplish, and it allowed us to, I'm not even going to say that we had to work on our communication skills. I think that our communication skills were just rock solid from the beginning. We were very open and honest with each other. No one was engaging in any sort of negative, and like no one came in with negative intentions for this interaction. And it was overall a very positive experience, and it allowed us to facilitate all of our schedules so much easier by all of us being open and honest up front about what our expectations were and what our availability was. And it allowed us to just work through the process and gain a great respect for each other. I would love to work with everyone again. I mean, I can't speak for everyone else on the team, but if this is the team I get to work with in the following term, I would be very satisfied with that. And especially because we were all able to collaborate and contribute at varying levels throughout the process. And when someone wasn't quite able to put forth their 20% contribution, we were all able and willing to pick up a little percentage of that, to get us over that finish line. And I mean, I think we rocked it. I think that we definitely just would collaborate again. I don't know, but we appreciate your time. Please let us know if you have any questions or concerns regarding our presentation on the Dream Fixer Upper project for Business 260. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much. We hope you have a wonderful day.